Last week I had posted a video talking about how this game is ruining my life and not much has changed because Once Human still has a stranglehold on me. But I noticed that I was not alone, as the people in my comment section are just as addicted as I am. However, they do have a bit of a problem, and that's trying to find a way to make good builds. And I'll be entirely honest, I've made several characters at this point and I got pretty good at making good builds, so I want to share some of this sandy wisdom with you. My first character's build wasn't that great, assembled from random pieces out of that little slot machine. However, now I have optimized my strategy and I can show you not how just to make a good build, but how to make any good build. But I don't want to keep you guys hanging here. The too long don't read is, don't use the slot machine to gamble on your first pieces. Make sure you save up as much currency as possible using free weapons that are all around the world to get by until you have an idea of what you want. Really, go up to the machine and hit G, then look at the options. Save up for these options. They allow you to build a more concise and refined build. That way you can be super big strong at the end game. Now, if you're thinking, well, silly goose, those things are awfully expensive. How would I afford these things and manage to get by in the early game? Well, let me show you how, because not only am I going to do this with a brand new character, I'm going to do a brand new build I've never done before, taking it all the way from character creation to beating the final boss. Without further ado, we are now in the character creator, where it is traditional to give your character a very large nose. Don't ask why, it makes you better. Some jackwagon already took the name Sandy McSandface, so I'll just be McSandface this time around. The opening sequence is more badass than a donkey that does not say please or thank you, but we don't have time for that on our adventure to become amazing. The tutorial level isn't really anything special, just make sure you grab all the canned food. You will not regret it later, because cooking food is a pain in the butt, especially when everything else seems to expire. After dispatching the boss that clearly inherited that position, we are pooped out of the spooky door into the real world. We immediately hit the ground running, grabbing as many quests as we can in order to get the Stellar Planula. That's a hard thing to say. I wish they made it something easier to pronounce. Save up as many of those as we can to buy more Star Crom. I think that's how you say it. It's the other currency that's actually going to allow us to buy weapons. As we're running through these quests like a coked up Sonic, make sure that you grab all of the rift anchors and mystical crates along the way, as they will assist you later on. And you will notice, if this is your first time going through the game, that you really do not need to upgrade any of your weaponry initially. Things up to like level 20 are just such pushovers, it does not matter what you use to kill them. Even with this bigger guy here, just tickle his weak spots and he'll bend over so you can get— oh, this doesn't sound right. What I meant to say is, if you exploit the weak spots on the semi-boss monsters, they will give you an access to their weak point that you can hit with arrows and guns and stuff till they die. I've genuinely tried to reword this like 6 times now. We're just gonna keep as it is. Accidental innuendos aside, it's time to do some grinding, which I'm gonna do most of this off screen because a lot of this just pertains to season goals. If you get enough season goals done, you'll get Star Crom. It's as simple as that. And it's probably the most effective way to get the stuff, and you're gonna need a shit ton, so go ahead and start that now. While grinding, I saw a weapon crate, which brought me over to a boss that takes a 3D movie gimmick way too far. The entrance was epic as all hell until he face planted, but I still like it, 7 out of 10. Fairly simple fight, but it did help me finish some season goals, so we're on our way. On our way to the main city to start the main quest line, I managed to find a beaver, a bee, and a mushroom, and the mushroom came from a random drop, which is super cool, and I love this game because collecting things can just give you deviants. And if you're watching this video, I can rest assured that you already know how important deviants are, as they help you fight, like they did in the first fight against the baby boss Siren Head Man. I was about 30 feet away from the area where I can start the main quest, but I got sidetracked again to do more side quest and more rift anchors when I suddenly found a morphic chest. If you see these guys, you are blessed because they have those stellar things that we need. After doing my best impression of the Scatman, I finally embark on the main quest. And if you don't want story spoilers, skip to like minute 5 and we'll be past this because I have to rant for a second. For everything that Once Human does well, the thing that they really struggle with is a lot of their voice acting and baseline story. When I first met Mary, I immediately said, yep, this bitch is evil. There's no doubt in my mind she's evil.
I'm Mary.
And I'm Sandy McSandface, also known as Sanford Days, who is not buying any of your baloney, Mary. It is so obvious with everything that you do that you are evil. I don't even know what it is. Some of the lines make perfect sense inside of the universe, but something about this just feels evil from the moment I met her. And I will say, Mary's voice acting is pretty good. There are a few, though, that really blow my mind, because some of them stand out as just bad. Like this Reddit mod that comes around the 4th boss time. I mean, listen to this.
A few die, so the rest can live.
A few die, so the rest can live. I really wanted to try to give it my own spin to see if I could make it sound any better, because it feels like that line should be really impactful, and it's just not. It falls flat. Like, this game has so much going for it, don't get me wrong. It's probably my favorite game of the year so far, if not one of my favorite games of all time, but the story's a bit questionable, and the voice acting could be a little bit shaky. Once Human, if you ever see this, please reach out to me. I will voice a deviant for free. Just let me voice a deviant, please. Okay, that's gonna be the end of my rant for now. Anyway, back to what we were saying.
You made it. I knew I could count on you.
Despite Mary being surprised to see me, even though we entered this building together, it is time for the first boss. Just so you're aware, the pistol I'm using is one of the base blueprints you start with. It's fairly powerful, it will get the job done, especially this easy first boss, and the ammunition is relatively inexpensive. If you need ammo, the enemies outside of this boss fight conveniently drop tons of copper and gunpowder, so farming them will give you tons of ammo in no time. After subduing the slime, I put him in the cradle and move on to the next objective. Although we're still not quite there yet, we need a lot more starcrum to get our main weapon. Unfortunately, on my way to grab another rift anchor, I found a PvP event, and I had to hit the little brat with a wiffle ball bat. In this case, it was actually a baseball bat, but it worked out just fine, especially with the Your Favorite Martian reference. And now that I've dated myself even further by referencing that, you should subscribe, because subscribing will ease some of the pain I feel knowing that the endless march of time is coming to claim me. Back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity! After pummeling that individual into a bloody pulp, I managed to find this fire frog and capture it through a wall. I'm not saying I should have been able to reach it, but I'm happy that I did. Now at this point, we're getting pretty close to the 8,000 starcrum we're gonna need, and it's important that I mention that you can get 180 from each of these things on the screen, and you don't actually even have to follow them. You just hit the link and it will give you the rewards. It doesn't have a way to check. The only one that does is Discord, because you actually have to link that to your Discord account, which is a whole bunch of work which I've never done. After distracting you for a moment while I made it to the second city, I become a very happy boy because this is where we unlock Cradle enhancements. This allows you to get additional perks and powers that just make you so much stronger. I've been relying on a pistol this far, so I decided to start out with the pistol damage increasing perk, also known as handgun enhancement, but that just sounds silly. Let's call it my thing instead. I checked my mail and realized there's another event that gives me 1,000 starcrum, meaning that we've made it past the 8,000 threshold, and it's time for the most influential decision we're going to make this entire run. It is time for us to purchase our blueprint for our favorite weapon, what we're going to build our entire character around, and that begins right now. After long deliberations, I decided we're going to go for the Boom Boom build.
The boom boom, baby.
Yes, that's right. I've decided to go for the Boom Boom build, meaning I'm getting the pistol that can do an unstable explosion every 4 hits or every 2 hits if you got crits. To those of you who asked about my sniper build, just get the sniper here, and trust me, this process is pretty rinse and repeat. After building the gun, even though I cannot calibrate it yet, it gives us a very strict guideline of what we're going for, because we have to remember, this gun can crit with its unstable bomber, and it will unstable bomber the more that it crits. So clearly, we want crit. And warning, a few of you in the audience just said, okay, so I have my main gun, I can go gamble now, right? Don't do this, you will regret it until the end of time. Don't gamble yet, there's a time for gambling, it's just not now. If you've managed to follow me this far, congratulations on hitting your first major power spike. Prepare to do a lot more damage and feel a lot more confident. As a side note, we're going to start jumping through time a little bit quicker. Now that you know exactly what you're aiming for, we just need to save up another 8,000 starcrum. I know we just saved up 8,000 once, but we need to do it one more time. So let's fast forward right to the tree ant's doppelganger. I mean the tree ant, which is for some reason a lower level than the doppelganger. This fight took longer than it should have because I forgot the distance that you can actually do good damage with the pistol is kind of short, and I also wanted to be in this place where he can't actually hit me. Or rather, it was going super swell until I ran out of ammunition and decided to finish him with a baseball bat. So far, this basic-ass baseball bat has killed both a player and a god. This is just pretty insane. But not too much is going to happen after we capture him and continue the story a bit. If you guys ever do want to see a video where I go into the entire in-depth run, it's going to be like 50 minutes, and I don't know who wants to sit around for that. If you want that, just let me know in the comments. Gosh darn it, my finger slipped and I bought myself a skin that made my gun cooler than Ryan Reynolds. Okay, so I have to move on to the next part of this video, and I honestly don't want to, because this is the part that pains me as a builder. I am someone who very much takes pride and joy in how nice my buildings look and function, but I did not have time rushing to get this awesome gear to form something that was actually both looking good and functional. So right now it's function over form. I'm so sorry. I promise in just a moment I'll show you what the base looks like in the end game, but for now we just need a base that can allow us to use this machine to process enough starcrum in order to get the next piece that we need to be big boy damage man. And I'm not gonna lie, I had just defeated the second boss, so I am not that powerful, and I used very large cortexes, which made this actually very difficult, but luckily my jank little base made it through the onslaught and we're able to collect our free starcrum once a week, baby. Why did I say that? Now that we have our 8,000 starcrum, we're able to buy our piece of key gear, which you can only wear one piece at a time because it's so freaking powerful, and it's absolutely cooler than that one kid who does wheelies down the road while he's riding on his bike. I'm getting the vulture top for me because mine's going to be a big unstable crit build, but if you're doing something like the sniper, get something that's good for weak spot or bullseye. Now Now not only am I much more powerful, but I look even more badass than a donkey that doesn't tip after great service. It's still not gambling time. Calm the hell down. There will be weeks worth of gambling in the future, but right now we need to stay on focus. Also, because after this tutorial ended and I did everything that I wanted to show as far as the game progression goes, this is what the base looks like. I think it looks really nice, all things considered. I just wanted to justify it because my previous base that I just showed you looks terrible. I take pride in this. Tell me what you think about it. I think it's nice. Now that I've justified my building skills and upgraded my power, I think it's time to slay the spider. And while I do love the spider as a design, its hard mode version is so annoying that I will almost never do it. I have no idea why you had to fill the entire room with poison, but the base version goes down like it's nothing at all. Not very much is going to happen in between bosses here, because I do want to show you the pistol in action, but I just want you to know the star chrome you're saving now is to go for your set. And I promise, once you buy 4 pieces of your set, you can gamble as much as you want, because once you get the set that fits your build the best, you are completely ready to start slaughtering everyone in your way. In this instance, I decided to go with the Lone Wolf set. It boosts my crit and crit damage, which is kind of the 2 things I'm going for. Shortly after, I end up at the Reddit moderator's house, and I knew this was going to happen eventually. What I didn't show you before is that we're wearing matching outfits, and one of us is going to have to change. After convincing him with superior firepower, it's time to take down his dog, because that dog got rabies. I said that as a joke, but I really love dogs, and that hurt me a little bit, not gonna lie. But with that said, it's time for me to voice my opinion. The 4th boss is the easiest boss in the game, and that includes on hard mode difficulty. Fight me. I even took out the baseball bat to finish him off because I just found this baseball bat to be hilarious throughout this entire run. Just before I get to the next boss, I've managed to piece together 3 of the 4 pieces of set gear as well as the other things that you've already seen me get, such as my gun and my vulture top. I entered the last instance boss fight by myself because doing it with other people is a terrible idea in my opinion, and I used the mods that you can get from silos. I didn't really cover those in this video because I wanted to focus on the gear aspect. With that said, I'm going to shut up for a second and just show you the last little bit of that fight just so you know how it went. I was going to shut up here so you could listen to the game audio and all the cool sound effects, but unfortunately it seems it got corrupted, so let me make the sound effects for you. Pow, 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 boom, boom, pow, pow, boom, boom. Oh my god, that hurt, stop. Oh, reloading. Pow, 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 pow. With that said, that's everything you needed to know. I showed you every piece of gear, and this can be applied to any gun in the game. I wouldn't recommend with shotguns necessarily, as this last boss is really hard with a shotgun, but I'm sure you can make that work too. And keep in mind, you will just have to read the main subtext of whatever key item and legendary items that you're going to be using in order to make sure that they have synergy, but this can be applied to any gun and you can make it work. Past that, I also want to note that I did not maximize this build at all. I did very few silos, so the mods on the guns at this point were very weak by comparison to what they could be, and very little upgrades have been put into them. So what did you think? Is there something I could have elaborated more on here? Do you want to see me do a full run? Do you want to see where to get the best mods for your weapons? Did you forget to subscribe? Because a lot of people do that. Anyway, this has been San for Days. I'm Course, and I get everywhere. Bye bye now. I love cheese.